This is UMAR AHMED for IFL team in association with MTK Global. I'm joined by Dean Whyte. I know, Dean, last time we spoke about your brother and the Povetkin fight and Joshua and Fury, potential fights next year, but I haven't talked to you about this Francis Ngannou stuff. What do you make of all of it?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Obviously, we come from a kickboxing, like K1 Muay Thai background. Dillian had a MMA fight. You know, I come from wrestling and MMA background. So, you know, he's a fighting man. So obviously in him. And to be honest, he spoke about it for a while now, if truth be told. You know, he believes he can beat a lot of the top boys in that division. And he's very vocal about it.
Have you seen much of Ngannou in the UFC? I don't watch UFC personally.
Ngannou means business. He's a big puncher. He's getting better and better. You know, but if you're talking about like striking, his striking is not going to be up to the likes of Dillian's, you know. So, but I mean, he's definitely not someone you're gonna, you know, overlook because he has got that one punch knockout power.
He's clearly got a big profile as well. So commercially, I think this would make sense if it were to happen.
Yeah, no, it's raising, man. Come on, man. He was on the rise for a while over there because he was getting a lot of knockouts and he was making waves until Cormier put pasture to all of that and busted him up and that. And then, yeah, that was the end of, not the hype train, I wouldn't say, because he done extremely well coming from, you know, obscurity and then, you know, making a name for himself coming from Africa somewhere. I can't remember where he's exactly from at this minute. But he's done great for himself.
Do you think it makes sense for Dylan, you know, after the Povetkin fight, you know, he's got that WBC shot, hopefully at either Joshua or Fury, or whoever holds the belt. Do you think it makes sense to have this Francis Ngannou fight?
You know, look, we saw what happened with the Floyd and Conor McGregor fight. You know, those crossover fights, you know, they do great numbers. You know, it gets the juices flowing. It gets people thinking about stuff. Because, you know, as sports people, you do think about, you know, what if this and what if that. So, you know, it's getting people talking. I mean, everyone's talking about it here and there. I mean, it's one of those ones like, obviously, he's in a position now. He's got Povetkin fight. Once that goes, he's in a position where he's going to be waiting for the winner of the trilogy with Fury and Wilder. And then obviously there's talk of these are trying to make the unification fight with Anthony Joshua. He's meant to get his shot, but there's a possibility that they might try and push him out. So maybe that's what he's looking at, you know, because of that. But I mean, I don't know. Listen, this boxing game is very finicky and tricky stuff. And he's got to navigate the minefield. And that fight with Povetkin is no pushover by any stretch of the imagination. I know Povetkin's like 40 now, 41. But I mean, he showed in his last fight against Hunter, the very young, explosive, the guy with energy for days. You know, he went in there and he nearly got him out of there. So, you know, we could see, you know, that there's still something left in the tank from Povetkin. So yeah, I wouldn't overlook him just yet.
Dean, everyone's talking about Anthony Joshua at the moment. It's kind of gone from it's a national story, really, to be honest, at the moment. What he said at the Black Lives Matter protest in Watford on the weekend. I'm sure you've seen the speech. What did you make of it, Dean?
Yeah, well, you know, I actually watched it. I watched it a few times. I understand he was reading from a document that was passed to him. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I think it's just been probably blown out of context by some people. But I don't think I've heard that people saying that he's racist and stuff like that. But I no stretch of the imagination that I believe that. You know, I think he was trying to send a message across. And obviously, if some people read it wrong, you know, that's up to them. But I kind of read into it a particular way. What was your thought on it? How did you perceive?
Listen, I don't know whether that was his script or someone gave it to him. I'm not too sure. I've heard things that someone passed it to him. In the actual speech, I might be wrong, but I don't think he ever said, do not buy from non-black business.
No,
he did say
what he actually said after, I'm not saying don't buy from anyone else, but what he's actually saying. So let me kind of break it down a little bit. So what I would say is this. I think he's more talking about unity in ourselves, in our own culture as blacks. You know what I mean? There's unity in any other culture. i.e. Indians, Pakistani, Chinese, Jews, wherever you are, Hindus, wherever you are, you know, there's that. So what he was talking about, he's talking about more about economic growth in the black culture. It's, you understand? So, you know, try to support your own. There's not a lot of support. Sometimes we don't support our own in the smaller black business they have. So I think he was trying to get that message across. So the message to me was more about unity. And he's not just saying, oh, you know, don't support them. He actually said, you know, you can support other people also, but I mean, try to look closer to home. Try to support, try to build an economic growth in the black community where it will give more jobs to people. It will give more growth in finances to people, where people can start to develop. Because in the black community, we've got an issue already with young black guys, knife crime, gang violence with Trident and so on, and people coming from single parent homes. And then we've got the issue with what's going on in America with George Floyd, why all of this is all erupted. And not just to mention George Floyd, there's many names, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, what's the other guy's name? Eric Garner. There's many names, to name a few, why all of this has been blown. This was a melting pot for a long time to go on. So this is why people are talking about the Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. All lives matter, we all know that. And in boxing is a very small community, but a great community, you know what I mean? So the people in it should really understand, because there's many colors of people who people come and support. Whyte supports Dillians, Whyte supports Joshua, Asians support Joshua, Asians support Dillian, Russian. It's a great community in boxing we have, and it's very, very unique. We don't have it in many. This is one of the best sports in the world. In the UK, we have the best fans. So people need to understand, we need to unite. And the message for me is, he was more talking about uniting in terms of, you must try to unite with the issue on Black Lives Matter, in terms of understanding what the young black guys are going through, or even guys of culture. Even if you're white or Russian or whatever you are, there's a culture here in the UK. And a lot of the young guys look very similar in dress code, how they talk, they listen to drill music. There's so much things, but what he was trying to say, as far as I was concerned, is that he wanted unity, and to stop the violence and stop the looting. And he was, you know, saying to people, all the looting and the violence was not necessary. So, you know, I don't know. I felt people jumped the gun a little bit with it. I think for me, he's born and raised in Watford, and it's predominantly white. And I know he's got, look, his manager's white. He's got Eddie Hearn in the background. So it's a bit kind of weird people saying that. I understand. He is a proud English, British, Nigerian, like I'm a proud English Jamaican, you know? So at the end of the day, we're going to understand our heritage. We're not going to forget that, you know what I mean? So I believe if you looked in the crowd, there was white people, there was black people, there was brown people, there was Asian people. So there was many multicultural who understood and came in with unity with him and was on the journey and saying, listen, we need to stand up. In England, we're very fortunate. It's not as bad as America, but there is a big problem here in itself when you're talking about stop and search for a lot of young black people. I understand, you know, a lot of the crime that's been committed, there are young black people, but there are people with many cultures and who are doing stuff also. So I think for me, the message, I read it how I read it, or thought what he was saying, I just perceived it as, you know, he was talking for me. I know everyone's got an opinion based on something, but I think people need to go back and look. And if they check it again, you will clearly hear him saying, I don't advocate the violence, the looting. What I would like to see is, you know, people supporting black businesses, trying to build more of an economic growth for us black folks here. You understand? So maybe it will help the younger generations coming through, and give them a foot up. You know, like, look, the Jewish, they've done great in their economic growth. Their money goes through their hand, 10, 12, 20, 30 times before it goes anywhere else. And we're not saying predominantly just go and buy a black. It's not going to work. We're in a different time. We're in 2020. Right now, the culture is, you know, we're all together. It's all a big unity. But what he's talking about is we must try to implement some infrastructure to bring ourselves as black people and uplift. Do you understand? Because right now, look, a lot of the women, when they go and do their nails, they go to Chinese shops. When they buy hair products, black hair products are being sold by you know, Indians or Pakistani. There's not a lot of black businesses owners that are selling our own products. When we go to buy banana, yam, plantain, people who know about these products, they're predominantly sold by people who are not from the Caribbean or Africa or anywhere that's predominantly black. So all it was is, I think it was more of a message to try and say we need to think about that and try to think of a way, you know, because when you look at the culture at the minute, a lot of people eat Indian, they eat Turkish. I love Turkish, I love Indian, Lebanese. The culture is vast and amazing here. And when we're talking about boxing, like I said, I did an interview the other day. I can't think of anything more passionate and great than what we've got here. Because when you go to the events, even for myself, it's amazing for me that the fans will chant my name when they see me. Dino, baby, you know, like listen, it can't be beat. Do you know what I mean? So the family, the closeness, the bond, what we have, you know, people need to kind of try and get behind what we're saying and not think it's black versus whites. It's definitely not that. It's not black versus the rest of the world. It's not that. We're just trying to make a standpoint and say, you know what, Black lives matter. Everyone's life matters, of course. But at this juncture here, we want the support of people. If they're supporting in boxing, if they're behind us, let's try and get behind us. Whoever it is to say, listen, we're all together. We're going for a pandemic together already. I don't even want to get on the pandemic side because that's a whole nother Pandora's box about what's going on there. But I mean, we all need to get together because obviously the police, the Metropolitan Police are here to serve and protect. And that sometimes they're not, it's just not blacks who's having a problem, there's whites having a problem, Asian problem. But we need to unite together and get our voices heard. And we need to, you know, try and come up with a solution for them to want to try and put in better practices for the officers to maybe conduct themselves and better and deal with people better as human beings. Because they don't, I'm not being funny, not all officers are bad, because I've met some good officers along the way when I was growing up. There was, you know, there was always one that was always good, really good. And then you have the ones who take their jobs very too seriously and have a big old chip on their shoulder, get out and they're ready to grab you, bend you up and restrain you straight away and talk down to you. And it's not cool because you're all human, you're somebody, they're here to serve and protect. In America, they're taking it way, way too far. There's women who are pregnant, they stand on the floor. That Eric Garner, they choked him to death. You know, he said he couldn't breathe. Same as George Floyd, he couldn't breathe and they persisted to put their knee in the back of his head. Listen, we could go on for days about this, but I just think the whole thing's been blown out a little bit out of proportion. I think Joshua's done amazing as a young black guy coming through, and many others, you know, I shouldn't even just say many others from any different backgrounds have made what the boxing is. Dillian, Chisoras, there's many people with different, even people coming from Ireland who have made a difference. Because back in the days, Barry McGuigan used to have an issue. Carl Frampton, there was so many tensions in Northern Ireland and certain different parts of Ireland, you know what I mean? So as a community, a boxing community, because obviously they look, it's majority of them, you got people with football and stuff, but you know, I'm not into that. I do kind of support a little bit of football, but I'm saying us, you know, when you go to the crowd, you don't have any racist chants. You get people who are singing, are happy, are vibrant. When they're out on the road, they see you, they say hello. And you know, I give everyone the time of day. And I think Joshua does. Even when you see him at his events, he gives these people the time of day and he stops, he shakes hands, he takes pictures. So I think people should really kind of maybe really go back and analyze what's actually being said and try and digest it a different way. Try and analyze it and break it down in a rational sense and look at why it all started, and then analyze what could he possibly be saying? What is the message in what he was saying? Try and dissect it that way. Don't just look at it because he said, don't buy, try and support black businesses and do, you can't just look at it like and take it for the word. You've got to read into what's going on and what's happening in the world today. We've never seen anything like this across the world. 9 or 10 billion or billion people, they were saying, marching in all states in America. They're on lockdown now. About 40 states have gone on lockdown. And look, in the UK, everywhere, Manchester, Birmingham, London, Bristol, everywhere is uniting. And that says a lot. You know what I mean? There's a small pocket of people that maybe not seeing what's actually happening, understanding what we're trying to, the message that is trying to be conveyed. You know what I mean? But I mean, for me, the boxing community is very intelligent. They're very smart, the guys in here. And I think they should, you know, look at what's gone on. Obviously, we've all come a long way. We've all come a long way. I mean, in boxing, because there was racism here many years ago. But right now, talking about just the guys in the crowd, the normal guy in the pub, the normal guy that comes up for you for a picture. Those are the guys like myself who's in there walking around in the events, doing interviews like yourself also. We're the people that count. You know what I mean? We're the people that understand what goes on out there and what we have to deal with. There's people from different backgrounds that maybe never understand and seen and been through what we've been through. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, you know, they need to go and educate themselves on what's happening and maybe stop pointing the finger at maybe Joshua at the minute.
I think that's very well said, Dean. Listen, I won't take much of your time up. I know you've got a busy evening. You're interviewing Bob Arum tonight, which I can tell you is always a good one. I know that firsthand. All right, Dean, thanks for your time. I'm sure we'll speak soon. All right, take care.
Yeah, listen, thanks very much.